We have a caller. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Can you make your contribution, please?
Yes, good morning, and thanks for this beautiful discussion this morning. God bless you. As
Thank
about
you.
the national carrier, the issue of the government aside, let's talk about the issue of the workers. That is the people that work with the Nigerian Airways, the staff of Nigerian Airways. Years back, when you're on flight, you see a lot of staff traveling free on the airlines. How will the government generate funds when like three-quarters of the passengers on a particular flight, especially to the hub in Dubai, you find out that about half of the passengers on that flight are staff of Nigerian Airways? Because I'm a regular flyer and I know quite a number of them. Where are you going? I'm going to Dubai free. And you're expecting we know that the whole country is corrupt. Everybody is corrupt. But we are working towards a better Nigeria. Once the airline comes back on board, is it still going to be the same story that we're going to be going through? Please, this issue should be addressed. And I pray that may God bless your weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am sure that the committee is aware of all this, and we're not going to have a government-owned airline. Yeah? What do you think? It's not going to be a government-owned airline.
Let our memory not be short. The national or flag carrier we had at the time, Virgin, was managed by Virgin Atlantic. I would not want to assume that Virgin Atlantic would not know how to manage an airline, since they do have successful airlines around the world. It's peculiar that it's the one that was running from Nigeria that failed. I think we need to look at it and understand the reason why it failed. Because we keep treating the secondary issue and we leave the primary issue. Let's look at the aviation sector and look at, because it's really dependent on a whole number of things. Energy affects us, which is fuel and all that. The infrastructure that we have, power affects us, security affects us. All those issues need to be fixed. The economy itself affects us because we can't fly ourselves. We need to fly people from point to point. We need to look at that and design a way out of the current problems.
Okay, let me bring Mr. Elitris in. Mr. Elitris, this committee has been inaugurated. What kind of things do you think they should be looking at? What kind of advice would you give them so that we don't have another failed airline on our hands? We really want to grab this opportunity that we have to be the hub.
Well, I think is an opportunity for Nigeria to give it another shot at getting it right. I know there have been several efforts in the past, several committees, John Ajang panel, Obiora Nwazota panel, even under the previous ministers of aviation, there were efforts, committees were set up to look into the possibility and the viability of having a national carrier. I think a lot of those reports are in place. I think those reports can assist the committee in coming up with a decision that would be best for Nigeria. But then let me say that I have listened to Mr. Yemi, and he raised the issues of infrastructure. I agree with him. There is that challenge. There's that challenge of infrastructure. For instance, if you look at most of our equipment in Nigeria are on lease. The lease rentals are very high. The utilization of the aircraft is low. And the reason being that the available infrastructure cannot support, operations beyond certain time in Nigeria. Most airports in Nigeria are sunset. Some airports shut down at 6 p.m. But in other jurisdictions, these aircraft fly up to 12 midnight, 1 a.m. They are still flying. So you have optimal use of the equipment, and that way you are able to sustain your operations. We can get it right. I am positive because I see a new government that is determined to get things right, to put things in place for the development of the industry. We cannot continue to allow foreign carriers to dominate the Nigerian industry. You would recall, and I do hear all the time, commentaries about capital flight. There's nothing like capital flight in this industry. The international airlines that are utilizing own privileges and rights under the BASA are doing it just the way the agreement says it should go. And the BASAs allow them to take out the proceeds from their operation outside after payments of overhead salaries to take back this money back to their countries. And I hear how people talk about capital flight. There's nothing like capital flight. You hear people talk about Virgin Nigeria declaring certain profits on the Lagos-London route, British Airways declaring this huge profit on London-Lagos route. Why? It's because they are utilizing their rights under the BASAs. Now, in Nigeria, like I said, 70% of the BASA routes are lying fallow because we don't have carriers to utilize it. Now, even as we speak, about 90% of the airlines are enmeshed in huge debt, domestic debts. Debts owed to aviation authorities, debt owed to third parties, and aircraft leasing companies. So we need to move forward. I'm not saying that we should not address the issues that our domestic carriers are facing. We should look into infrastructures. We should look, in fact, we should look into creating that comfort within our system that would enable leasing companies to give our operators equipment at reduced lease rates. And for you to do that, you must engender that confidence in within the international community for them to do that for you. We signed into Cape Town Convention, and we saw after that, we saw a lot of new airplanes coming into Nigeria. But the question you ask is that, are we really, our carriers really living up to their obligations under those lease terms? We are faced with a lot of problems. You receive inquiries all the time from about how the attitude of Nigerian operators not complying with their obligations under the Cape Town Convention. And as a state, it gives us a bad image.
Okay,
so
Mr. Elidrus, can you just hold on 1 second? We'll come back to you. Let's just take this phone call from Samson. Samson calling in from Lagos. Hello, Samson. Hello.
Hello, good morning. I've been on the line. If you were talking, then you kept me on the line.
Sorry about that, Samson. Please make your contribution.
Okay. The new national carrier. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, the new national carrier is a welcome development. And as Nigerians, we should try to embrace it. We know that there is corruption, but it's not all Nigerians that are corrupt. So, and the president has come up with a good agenda for Nigerians. And as Nigerians, like the last caller, Mr. Samuel, have said, all the government officials, if they want to embark on any trip, I think they should be made to fly the national carrier. It will contribute to our income, and even all the other airlines, it will force them to drop their airfare if there's a national carrier competing with them. Like now, if I want to travel from here to Abuja, and we have a national carrier, I may decide to go with the national carrier.
All right. Thank you very much, Samson.
Next,
Mr.
I hope you are getting me.
Yes, thank you very much. Mr. Elitrus, you've heard Samson there. He's talked about the fact that the government officials must be made to fly the national carrier. I want you to weigh in on this because there was something else. Another caller also talked about the role that the workers played in the death of the old national carrier, the Nigerian Airways. She talked about family and friends flying arbitrarily. They just get up, I want to go to Dubai to maybe buy a toothpick or something and come back. Well, she talked about the way they were using the airline, the workers and staff. And I know I asked you, and I asked you a question earlier about the role the staff play. But we'll come back to that. Let Mr. Elitrus weigh in on this. The role the staff play in ensuring that the airline survives.
Well, we need to get something right. You know, every what the earlier speaker spoke about, her experience on board most of the Nigerian Airways flights, seeing a number of the staff on board flying free, I think is not peculiar to Nigeria. If you work in the aviation industry, even in some climes, you need not be a staff of an airline for you to enjoy certain privileges. I give you an example. If you work with Emirates or Qatar Air, as a staff, in a year you are entitled to like 6 tickets to travel to wherever destination you want to. So you can decide to utilize the ticket for yourself and your family members. So it is part of the privilege that comes with the job.